Hey, second grade, welcome back to another math lesson. You guys have been spending the past few days measuring in inches, and you're doing such an amazing job. So we thought it would be an awesome time to move on to some other types of measurement. So today, we're not only going to be talking about measuring in inches, but we're also going to be talking about measuring in feet and in yards. Let's watch a quick brain pop snippet of a video to see why we might want to pick one over the other. She is not going to talk about yards in this video, but that's okay. We will talk about it after.
You found it! A ruler can help us find exact measurements. What are inches? Well, an inch is a unit of measurement, and we can use inches to measure small objects. When you measure something with a ruler, it's really important to line it up with the zero. Right, this bolt is 1 inch long. We abbreviate inches as IN period. Let's measure it. This screw is a little more than 2 inches long. It's longer than the bolt. This nail is close to 4 inches long. It's the longest. So, how long is your birdhouse, Moby? That's a gigantic birdhouse. We should use it as a doghouse instead. Maybe you measured it using feet instead of inches. How can you measure using feet? For longer objects, we can measure in units called feet. Well, kind of, except we have different sizes of feet. If we measured with your foot, we'd get a different measurement than if we measured with my foot. That's why we have one standard foot that is the same. This ruler is 1 foot long, which is equal to 12 inches. Let's see. Your doghouse is about 1, 2, 3 feet high. This is the abbreviation for feet, FT. I guess there are tons of ways to measure. Maybe in a few weeks we can measure Selden again and see if he's grown. Nice hat, Moby.
So in the video, you'll see that the girl used inches and feet to measure things. So you'll see that she used inches to measure the nails and the screws, but why do you think she used feet instead when measuring the doghouse? Exactly, because it's bigger and it's easier to use something that is a larger amount to get more of an accurate number, an accurate measurement. So she used a ruler for both of them, which is cool. So you have one tool that can measure two different ways. And that's because a ruler is 12 inches long. So you can use it for inches. And it's also exactly 1 foot long. So you can also use it for feet. Now, we said that we were going to talk about feet, inches, and yards. So there is another tool you can use in order to measure yards. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It's a pretty cool thing, and it's really easy to remember because it's a yard stick. Very clever name, making it easy on us. Okay. Oh, that's our assignment. You get a head start. So here is our anchor chart. So our ruler, like I said, is 12 inches long, and it's also 1 foot, so that's what we would use to measure inches and feet. Now, a yardstick is nice and handy for those bigger things that you want to measure. And the reason why you would want to use a yardstick instead of measuring in feet, for example, is a few reasons. One, it takes less time because you don't have to move the tool as much, the yardstick. Second reason is because it makes a more accurate measurement. So if you're measuring something really long and you have to move the tool. So like in the video when she was moving the ruler to measure the doghouse, that's great and it worked, but it can leave more room to make a mistake. So if she used a yardstick instead, she couldn't have accidentally moved it without knowing and got the wrong answer. So we want to use inches for small items, feet for medium-sized items, and yards for huge items, okay? So we are going to we're going to actually play a little game using my card. So I have an inches card, I have a feet card, I have a yards card. I'm going to throw out a few items, and I want you to think to yourself. You can say them out loud if you want as well. Think what you would use: inches, feet, yards. My first item is my coffee cup. So here's my coffee cup right here. What do you think would be the best measurement? If you said inches, you are absolutely correct. The reason for this is because it's smaller than a foot, so it's perfect to be measured in inches. Another clue, if you don't have like a yardstick around, your forearm, so from your elbow to your wrist, that is about a foot. So if you have something and you're not sure, would I use feet, would I use inches? Kind of hold it up to your arm or put your arm over by it. Is it as long as that, as tall as that? Would you need a ruler to measure feet or to measure inches? My next item is a door. What do you think you would use to measure that? If you said yards, you are absolutely correct. That is a really big item, and I would definitely have to use my ruler over and over and over to measure feet, so using a yardstick would be so much easier and make sure my answer is closer to the correct measurement. My next one is a car. What do you think? Yeah, I would say yards again because it's a pretty big item that I would want to use that for. And lastly, a chair. What do you think? Yeah, I'd agree. Probably feet, because it's a bigger item, but it's not super big where you would have to move the ruler a lot to measure it. You might need to move it a few times, but I don't think my chair is quite as tall as a yard. It might, but I would say feet would be the best choice for that one. Now let's look at our assignment for today, and we'll do a few together before I send you on your way. Let's see here. All right, here we go. So the directions say to look at each picture, decide if you should measure by feet, yards, or inches. So our first box is a tooth. What do you think we should use? Inches, feet, or yards? Yeah, it's definitely a smaller item, so I would probably use inches. My highlighter hasn't been working. Oh. Let's see. Will this work? Perfect. So I underlined it. If you want to use a highlighter, you can, but mine is being not very nice to me lately, so I got to underline, which is fine. Next one, airplane. Inches, feet, or yards? I'd say yards too because it's a pretty big item. It would take a long time to measure in inches or feet. And lastly, a paintbrush. What do you think? Now this one I could go either way, inches or feet. It's hard to tell because it is, it's a picture. I don't know if it's a really big brush or if it's a smaller brush. I think I'm just going to say inches just to be sure, but if you did inches or feet, I would accept either answer. So as you could see, some items you might think like, I'm not really sure. I might use feet, I might use yards, I might use inches. Now, if it's a small item and you pick yards, now that wouldn't be a good guess, but if you are measuring things like the paintbrush and you're undecided, just pick the one that you think is best, and that'll be good enough for me. All right, second grade, you are ready to do your assignment. I hope you have a good rest of your week and you have an awesome weekend.